It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Big thanks to Derek of Baker 6 Clan and our featured patrons, the Caching Dead New York, Nikul Udak, JB Opto, GeoVet 91, Hoffer 15, Bember, the Happy Hodag, Mom, Dad, 2 boys, Sue's mom, and our new patrons, GeoTribe 5, Sparky 916, Muddy Buddy 82, Eminem from M, and Ladybug Karen. Tonight's guest is Marcellus Cadd, aka Atreides. What's
78723.
There you go, 78723.
One day I will find the original Atreides and I will fight him for his name.
For the name, there will be a battle for the name.
There can be only one.
There could be only one Atreides. So Marcellus with us. Welcome back to Geocache Talk, Marcellus.
Happy to be here.
We're so glad to have you along tonight.
Push.
We have a lot to talk about and a lot to catch up on. We have we saw each other a little bit in Conroe, didn't we?
A little
we ran
bit
into each other,
but not a ton.
No, I broke my leg, so I kind of missed out on some stuff. But anyway, lot to talk about. Lot is going on that you've been involved with, which is great. But before we do that, let's do a little bit of news. So the item that came out recently was, and I don't know if you guys already logged your GC9 fave.
We have till December 31st to log it. I wasn't going to rush this one.
Yeah.
And isn't it December 31st, 2023?
Oh, is it 2023?
I think NEAT ends at the end of 2022. I think Fave goes till the end of 2023.
It goes to the end of next year.
Yeah. So we've got a few days left.
Got some time. Have you logged yours yet, Marcellus?
Oh no. I almost did. I almost
that one in your
did.
Back pocket.
But I haven't.
Yeah, Albedo saying it's 2023. Yeah, that's one of those. That's one of those that I call it the back pocket. You know, just in case I need it, I can always log that locationless.
Keep in mind, like we talked about it probably doesn't count for a lot of things. So be careful when there's no location to it, and it's not a county, it's not anything. You know, it's probably just a 1-1 also. So it's not. You know, be careful what you're holding that in your back pocket for.
That's true. Now,
the funny thing is, after they activated it, I ran into somewhere where I almost used it because it's like, oh my God, that's stunning.
Yeah, well,
this would be perfect. But wait a minute, I can't do this yet. I've got a whole year to use this. Maybe I'll find something better.
Who knows? You may want to save it for a day when you're like attending a mega or getting a bunch of types in one day. That's where you hold it in your pocket for.
Yes.
I've got 11 types in one day. I'm not even like worried about it.
Hey,
I'm not going to like push for 12.
Giving up so early.
Greedy.
I think
there may be a new type that comes out, and you can go for 13.
I think we did 10.
Maybe
I've done 10. It was at Moga. I was able to do 10. But
Maybe.
Yeah, that is fun. Did you do 11 up in? You did 11 up in Seattle this
no,
year?
Actually, I did 11 at Geo Woodstock 17.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah,
nice.
It would have been nice to get like a Giga in there or something like that. But hey, what are you going to do?
We both thought the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. You want to pull it up? I'll let you do it.
I'll do it. Yeah. I don't know who they didn't log in or they didn't authenticate, so we don't know who that is, but they can tell us their name. But they had 13 in one day in Mingo, which that's and KCOAO said KCOAOO said he's done 13. So
I've got 12 in a day. But that didn't include a location list. So I could have gotten 13 if that would have been available at the time.
And that's why you guys are all the popes of Chilitown. You got like 12, 13, 17 in a day.
That was a while back, though. That was 2015 is when I did that. So,
right.
But you got to be lucky enough to have one of those dwindling resource webcams, nearby to try to get something like that.
In the Pacific Northwest, they are lousy with them.
Yes, that is true. That is true. So what do you think about the new location list? It looks like they're going to continue to do these, which I hope they are, one every 6 months or a year or whatever.
That would actually be kind of cool. I think that, anything that like draws somebody into, showing something new, showing something that is special to them is actually really cool. I mean, the cleanup one for GC8 Neat, that's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
Something that like, involves somebody in doing something good for the earth and, something that's really personal. That's pretty cool. I don't know what they're going to do after Fave because, I don't have that kind of imagination. They're probably going to come up with something absolutely amazing. I'm just going to go, why didn't I think of that?
I bet they have 2 or 3 lined up already, just waiting, for the next 2 or 3 rounds. But this one is one of the best, I think, because it's this is like the spirit of geocaching.
Yeah,
right.
Go to some cool place, right, and show off your favorite place that you found, and not some old picture from when you were 10, but actually a new picture. And it's hard to beat it. I probably will log it, and then as soon as I log it, I'll save it up for a long time, and I'll be like, "This is it. This is the place." And then a week later, I'll go to some place and go, "No, this is what I should have done.
Should have that one."
Yeah.
But
I guess you can put a note or just add another picture, like, "Oh, here's me in June. Here's me in July."
As long as 10 years down the road, they're not like scraping the bottom of the barrels, like GC8 karaoke. Do a thing of yourself in a bar singing, or something like that. Which, if they ever did that, I would totally be down for that.
Yes, you would.
Yeah. You can't pass that one up.
You can't.
God, no.
Neil says the location will count if the CO of the challenge counts it. So that's a little challenge talk for you tonight. Kendall says he got 13, and Tyva says she got 15 at Midwest Geobash in 2019. That's quite a few. Oh,
that Jim. Is. Now, if you count Waymark and Benchmark on that one day, I got 14. But those don't count on GC, so I don't count it.
I did a Waymark and Benchmark too for that one day at Moga, but Jim says he got 15 also. So there must have been a little magical. Well, that's usually what happens.
The location list, yeah. If you do the location list and webcam and Mega, Giga, OODA Loop, whatever, the new when they have 50 million people coming to one in Germany somewhere. Right. There's always new opportunities for it.
Oh, Pizza Niche is going to fill it on a calendar day. Well, that's an idea. It's a possibility. Sure.
That should count, right?
It should count. Yeah, I think it does.
Let's see if he has the patience to wait for. Well, no, I guess he wouldn't. It'd been cool if he could do a leap year.
If an adventure lab fills in a calendar day, then there's no reason that a locationless won't.
Right. Very cool.
That's true. It does not fill in a county which I've already learned, by the way. Just
it does not.
Didn't know for sure.
Yeah, you do know.
Yes, I do know for a fact that it does not.
I do, in fact, know for a fact that it does not.
Yes.
Yeah. We're talking about a lot of county caching tonight in a little while. The last note I wanted to mention and ask you guys about, which was the geocaching world record 2022 that didn't happen.
Wah, wah.
I did help it not happen though. So I did try to cache. I did cache that day.
I cached that day.
Yeah.
I cached that day.
What's wrong with everybody else? Yeah, we covered it. What's the
was
deal?
It like 12,000 short or something?
Something like that.
We were quite.
And like,
what's bad? What's bad is I went back and looked, and I did not cache on August 11th, 2016, whatever the date was for that thing. I was like, dang it, I wasn't even part of the first one.
Neither did I.
I
mean, I hadn't started yet, but that has nothing to do with anything.
So it's almost, not just trying to be like the glass is half full, but it's almost kind of cool that it didn't work out this time, because maybe next time they'll have to build up a lot more suspense. I mean, obviously they have to build up more people because it didn't work, right? But maybe it's something that they can draw out and really build it up. And maybe it even will be a day, like a 1-day souvenir thing like this, like a location list. One day, you can only log it on this day, this location list, and it's locked after that. So you have to log it that day, and that's how you get your world record. That could be a cool future location list idea.
It would actually.
I suspect people would log it.
Odds are good.
Turtle says, "Yeah, I'm sorry. We should have." He says we should have killed that record. I agree. I don't know why we didn't kill it. That's a good question.
I don't know if we gained a lot of people during COVID, and I kind of wonder if people are getting back into regular lives and getting back into hobbies that they missed during COVID, that they came to geocaching to replace, and now they're going back to those other hobbies.
It's a good question.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, why would you ever give up, geocaching?
Why would you give up caching?
I mean, why would anybody do anything other than this?
Right.
Seriously.
Right. Seriously.
I had hobbies before I started this. I was going to start a podcast at the same time I started this. And guess what? The only thing I have left of that podcast is an awesome mic to use.
There you go. Perfect.
Well, you're halfway there.
That's it.
That's right.
Yeah, be careful with that. That sucks you in, and don't listen to Gary ever. Hey, let's do a couple shows. 8 years later, you're still doing shows,
Still
Just be
doing
careful. Don't answer any phone calls from Gary about podcasts. Just don't do it, because you'll be stuck forever.
Actually, my dream podcast actually goes along with county caching. What I want to do is I want to start a podcast where every week I pick a city that I've been to and spend 30 minutes talking crap about it.
Now that's pretty funny.
And the crazy thing is, people would listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
That blows my
Absolutely.
brain. People would listen to this.
Yes, they would. Well,
funny.
Speaking of podcast, or in your case, the blog with a B, not vlogging, but blogging.
Yes, I do it the old-fashioned way.
You are doing it,
yes.
Which is funny to say now that blogging is old-fashioned. That shows how old we all are, because think about when blogs were starting to become a thing.
There was a time when I refused to use the word blog.
Blog. You didn't want to call it that?
It was a weblog.
Weblog.
Or it was not a blog. I refused to, pardon my French, bastardize it.
Right.
Yeah.
You were
yeah.
I love your blog, Marcellus.
Aw.
And I'll be honest, I'm sorry everybody else out there. I don't read anybody else's. And it really is. You've done such a great job. Seriously, you could literally turn around and make a book out of them. I mean, I don't know if you ever thought about doing that, but
in theory, I've been working on taking all the Texas ones and making them into a book.
Right. That's a great idea.
Yet I just keep getting sidetracked with COVID and driving to new counties and, caching and stuff. So one of these days I'm going to sit down and just do it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately that day is not today.
No. There's too many fun things to do to think about sitting down and going backwards.
I know.
But it would be really cool to have. I tell you, it'd make a good coffee table book. To be honest, seriously, I'm not kidding. Because you could, especially for people in Texas. I mean, well, you're doing them all over now, but be able to look through all the county courthouses, which they're all, not all of them, but in Texas, there's some really bizarre ones. A lot of them are cookie cutter. I mean,
there are some
some bizarres.
Like some of them are absolutely stunningly gorgeous.
Yes.
And some of them are just like really nice. And some of them feel like, they were like ordered from the Sears catalog at some point. And then there's a few that are just like, no,
you can't believe it.
No.
Yes.
Now, there are some that have an excuse. I think Aransas Pass. Yeah, I went and their courthouse was basically like half of a mini mall.
Oh,
but
my.
It turned out that their courthouse had like been blown down by a hurricane. So I'm like, okay, that's legit.
Yeah, they get a pass for that. Yeah,
they get a pass for that. But I'm sorry, I don't want to bring up anybody. I don't want to ruffle any feathers in Texas.
Yes,
Dangerfield, Morris County.
Bad.
Oh my God. Somebody ordered a corrugated building from Lowe's or Home Depot or something and then threw it up.
Courthouse.
It makes me sad to look at.
Yeah. So for those that are not familiar with, we get new listeners all the time, and we want to make sure that they're up to speed on what we're talking about. Kind of explain to people what county caching even is, and then tell people your version of county caching.
Okay,
because they're a little different.
County caching is just that. It's one of those side games of geocaching. In this particular case, it is trying to find a cache in separate counties all over the country, or if you're in a place somewhere in the world that has has counties or county equivalents, finding them there too. But I'm just concerning myself with the U.S. right now because I'm that guy.
Yes.
And so, especially for a lot of states, there are county actually for every state, except I think Michigan or something like that. There's a county challenge to find a cache in every county in the state. And me personally, I have a long time ago when I started caching, I thought, hey, the Texas County Challenge, that's kind of a huge deal. Maybe I'll try that. That's 254 counties in the state of Texas. That'll take me forever. A year and a half later,
you nailed it.
I was done.
Yeah.
After that, I decided I was going to, spread far and wide. There are 3,143 counties or county equivalents in the United States.
Wow,
soon to be 3,144 because the counties of Connecticut are going to dissolve from 8 counties into 9 census areas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. What's that going to do?
It's just going to basically add another county equivalent, and it happens fairly often. I think the last time it happened was a couple of years ago. What is it?
Alaska,
Valdez, and Alaska. Into Chugach and Copper River. 2
counties, right?
Yeah. So it happens.
It does happen. You're right.
It does.
Interesting.
And apparently, Michigan does have a county challenge. There's one state that doesn't have a county challenge, and I can't remember which one it is.
Extra points. Extra points for those that can find out the ones that
be Delaware, maybe.
It is definitely not Delaware.
Okay.
Nor should it be, because seriously, I could go
to
Delaware.
Is that?
I could do Delaware in a morning.
Right.
Yes. I could do Delaware and the county challenge. Yeah, go to all 3 counties and then get the county challenge and then go somewhere for lunch.
Rhode Island only has 4, so it could be Rhode Island.
Hey, we got the Twonkies on tonight. That's good to see. Hello, Dave.
Hey,
completed all Maryland counties today with fines in 7 different counties. So he just completed. Yep. Way to go, buddy.
I couldn't imagine Ohio State would not have a county challenge.
Yeah. You think somebody would come up with one?
I mean, maybe there was one in the CO left or something like that. I don't know.
It seems like somebody would jump right on republishing that.
In fact, I think Missouri has 2 county challenges.
Oh,
yeah, by 2 different people.
You can repeat. I mean, you could have.
Yeah, you can do them in different parts of the. I know Florida, my new state, has one for the northern half and one for the southern half, and then one for if you've done both. So it's like 3 in a series. So it's kind of like, cool. You build up to it or whatever, which is kind of cool.
And there are several regions in Texas that have challenges for that for that particular region.
That's true. Yeah, I completed one called the. Oh, you probably done it too. It's like a
Permian Basin.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
That's cool. I've done the Permian Basin challenge. There's one.
Like a great Southwest Texas or something.
Big something or other challenge that's a little more northerly. I myself am the owner of the Hill County challenge.
Nice. That's really
cool. The Hill Country County challenge.
Hill Country. Because we always which is fascinating for those that aren't from Texas, but I grew up in San Antonio and we always talked about going to the Hill Country, which is not far. But when you start to head toward Bernie and up that toward Kerrville, then you're in the Hill Country. I don't know, and I guess your challenge somehow has determined what they consider the Hill Country.
Actually, I think I use what is it? The Texas Parks and Wildlife. I think has definitions of different areas.
Oh yeah,
and so the Hill Country is basically from about Travis County, like Travis, Williamson, I think Bell County is in there too,
right?
And then just going west.
West, right? Very cool.
Yeah,
that's fun. You brought it up a second ago, Jesse.
Talking about parishes, so maybe that's. But
those are county equivalents.
They are county equivalents
because I have done all the parishes in Louisiana.
Yeah. Tyva brings up the New Hampshire and Massachusetts have town challenges. Those are very famous.
Those are pretty moratorium.
Massachusetts town challenge looks insane.
Yeah.
Isn't it like 351 or something like that?
Something like that, like 351, 354.
They tend to always.
But that's pre-moratorium stuff because it'd be pretty hard to track that stuff on Project GC.
Yeah. But still, the idea of and Massachusetts is not that big to begin with. I can barely even imagine how it has 354 towns.
Both of those are in
it's not big, up and down, but it is decent sized going across.
That's
from west
true.
to
And I'm sure they have like a town like every 20 miles, which is like, that's like from North Austin to South Austin.
Right.
They tend to make the book because they tend to be highly favorited.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, Massachusetts has
351, yeah.
New Hampshire has 234. What do y'all think of the one? We're getting off sidetrack, but the 24-hour challenge, where you have to find a cache.
That's an honesty thing because there's no way to really know.
Right, but you're supposed to. You're supposed to.
Yeah, I guess you can. I guess you could find 24 and then log 1 each hour.
But I mean, yes, they do kind of timestamp it, but they don't really know that you're finding it at that point, unless it was some kind of QR code that showed you were actually there at the same time. You can log it at any time you wanted to. So that one's kind of weird. Now we've stayed up 24 hours in a row caching, but there's no way to know. Yeah. That's a cool challenge, but it's an honesty challenge. It's like,
it probably is. You're right.
Do it, find a cache while you're wearing boots. Oh, was he wearing boots? I don't know. That's one of those weird things.
And yet I said I was wearing boots.
Yeah, there you go. You're good to go.
Jim mentions Ohio has the 88 challenge for 1+ per county, and the 880 challenge, which is 10 per county.
Wow.
That's an interesting idea. Most Ohio counties have a century challenge, which is 100 in that county.
Yeah, I've seen that down here. Florida has that for every single county has a century challenge, so 100 for the county.
Right.
Which that's a lot, by the way. That's a lot of caches if you were to clear out every county.
Yeah.
Neil mentions a challenge to do all the counties, all the mystery, or like, I think that's what he's referring to. Yeah. Michigan County Challenge.
Do a county challenge, but with all mysteries.
All mysteries. Interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of offshoots. Just like we talked, like you mentioned earlier, and I think it was interesting. It could spur a whole discussion separately. It's one of the side games of geocaching. Well, there are so many side games in geocaching. We could spend the rest of this show just listing those, right? I mean, I think it's fascinating what people are into. We've talked about many of them, but there's just like the counties that you're doing, or doing them with mysteries, or doing it twice. There's so many things you can do with all these side games. That's what makes it so fascinating to me.
Heck yeah.
So tell folks how many counties you found, and tell quickly after that the story of how there's one that you're kind of missing.
Well, okay.
How many?
I have been to 776 counties.
What? Whoa. Yes. That's insane.
However, I only claim 775.
Yes.
And the reason why is because every time I go to a county, and this is just a me thing, you don't have to be like me. This is my own form of insanity. Every time I go to a county, I go to the county courthouses, or in some case, the county courthouse, or sometimes, depending on the place where it is, county courthouses.
Oh,
because there are some counties that have more than one courthouse.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Actually, cool. Fun fact: Arkansas has 10 counties that have 2 courthouses.
Really?
However, I have been to both of them in all the counties but one. There's one county where I've only been to one of them because I wasn't paying attention and I drove right by one. Oops. So one day when I go back, I will go back and go get that one county courthouse.
Yeah.
But I've already been to one, so I'll totally count that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Totally.
Why do they have 2 counties courthouses? They're so busy they can't.
Actually, because a long time ago there was some kind of physical impediment, something that made it difficult to be able to get to a courthouse from one area. So they had 2 courthouses. That way you could always be close to a courthouse to do your business.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So,
775.
And the reason I don't count one is because in Arizona, I nipped when I was doing New Mexico, I nipped across the border into Arizona to grab one so I could get the souvenir. But I didn't go to the courthouse in that county. I believe it's Cochise County. So when Bisbee, I finally go back to do Arizona, even though I've actually gotten a cache in that county, I am going to go back to Bisbee and their county seat so I can officially claim that county for myself.
And you take a photo, right, of every county courthouse.
Every county courthouse. I even spend a little time talking about each one. Because sometimes they're middle of the road and I don't really have much to say. Sometimes they're stunning and it's just like, my God, this is gorgeous. This is amazing. Or sometimes they'll have something there that is kind of thought-provoking or something similar. And sometimes they're just plain bad. Terrible.
And you tell people that, though. You let them know that.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. In case
if I think a courthouse is not a good courthouse, I will say it and I will tell you why. And I will talk crap about it. And I feel bad if it's your home and if you're attached to it, but that courthouse is terrible and I can't do anything with that.
Right.
So Burnt Turtles asked, do you log the benchmarks?
I don't. I'm not a benchmark person, though every now and then I do run into them. And so I'll usually it's not uncommon for me to just go, oh yeah, by the by, benchmark here. Though I can't really imagine why. Mm-hmm. I mean, a courthouse being a courthouse, I've seen tons of benchmarks at courthouses.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I would imagine they'd be a great place to go for a benchmark or especially a waymark.
Now here's the bad thing. You doing the counties, you're doing the courthouses, and then one day you're gonna be like, maybe I actually do want to go back and get all those benchmarks. And you're going to have to start all over again and go back and get all the benchmarks at all these county courthouses too. Like, I should have started that the first time.
Maybe, but there are a lot of things I probably should have started the first time.
Now, one thing that
the offshoot of the county challenge, just to ask what's the other one?
Delorme?
With Delorme, yeah.
Oh, Delorme.
Are you doing that as well?
I do not do Delorme. Oh, and here's why. Because, like, for instance, I have been to all 254 counties in Texas, but there's like 6 Delorme pages that I haven't been to.
That's me too. You and I could go do that. And I bet you we have the same 6 because
I wouldn't be amazed. And they're all like out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not going to the bottom of like Big Bend.
Right.
I don't need to grab a cache in like that 2-mile area between the Louisiana border and where the page goes.
Right.
Like, no, I don't need to go back there.
Yeah. Maybe in the future, you never know. 5 years from now, you may be looking for a new challenge and who knows?
One day I might be on the way somewhere and it's like, hey, I've got to stop and offer my water to the state. Oh, wait a minute. This is on that Delorme page that I haven't been to. I'll grab a cache. Why not?
You may finish the counties one day, and then what? So then you go back and do Delorme, right?
Cross that bridge when we get to it,
right? I have really thought. Don't think that I haven't.
It's a good problem to have, though, if you ever do get to finish them all.
Because here's the thing, and I think it's going to be because if I manage to like string together every county there was, so I could have an entry to write for every day continuously, I would still need another 9 years and change to finish writing about all of them.
That's true.
That's okay. Geocache will still be around. It's okay.
So I got some time.
Yeah.
I did want to mention for those that are interested, and I think you should be interested because I find it fascinating. And I put it in the chat room, but also I want to put it up on the screen. Marcellus's blog is at geocachingwhileblack.com is the website, but also that's the blog. It's really the blog site. Well, that's Marcellus. So whenever I see it, I always kind of grin. Because it reminds me of, I think I've told this story, and you've probably heard this story too, but there was a reporter, and he meant well, but his question was hilarious because of the way he said it. But he asked Doug Williams one time, he says, how long have you been a black quarterback? And without hesitating, Doug said, all my life. So that's you could see where he was kind of trying to go with the question, I think, but
totally.
It did come out right. So I wanted to ask you. So we've talked about this before. We've had you on a couple times, but I don't want to. We got so many things to talk about, but I did want to try to get an update from you on now that we're in 2022, and you've done this now 4 years, right? You've done blogging. You blogged for 4 years.
In fact, last week was 4 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
As you've traveled around, do you feel that our culture, because we're dealing with two different things, or not two, we've got a combination of things going on here.
Yeah.
One is geocaching is weird enough in our world, but then we've got we have cultural problems that someday, hopefully, we can always someday we can look back on it and say we used to have problems with culture, with race and things, but we've gotten past that. It'd be wonderful to say someday. I mean, we're not there, obviously, we know that, but how do you feel that we are at culturally with as far as the game is concerned, as far as our sport, geocaching? Do you still get the, hey, what are you doing, more than
not as much?
Okay.
And I do think it's a combination of two things. I think that I am a little more I think I'm a little more clever and a little more frosty about what I go for than when I first started.
Right.
But also, I think it is a little less common, or let me rephrase that. I think people are thinking about it more. And so I think people are a lot more likely to just sort of, see someone who's kind of off doing something and it's not obviously problematic,
right,
and just sort of leave them on their way.
Right.
I joke that, I thank Pokemon Go for making it not strange to see a black dude wandering around looking at his phone.
Right.
So I thank him for that.
Right.
But I also think that a lot of people are just a little more cognizant of it. They never thought about it before.
Right.
And so now I think there are a lot more people who they may see somebody doing something a little odd, and it's like, well, they're not doing anything obviously illegal.
Right.
And they're not trying to hurt anyone. So I'll leave it alone.
Right. Right. Yeah. I wish we would have had that happen when we had an issue at Cache Fest. We had, and we've all seen these, we've all seen these kind of folks who they stick their nose in other people's business, which is sad because it's none of their business. So why won't they just kind of?
Yeah. In fairness, that person was probably meaning well.
They probably
may have just been a slight overreaction. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. But a cache owner left a kayak because he knew a lot of people were in town for Cache Fest, and he left a kayak near his cache that was in the middle of this pond. It wasn't really, you can't even call it a lake. It was more like a pond. Well, somebody drove by, saw the abandoned kayak, assumed somebody had died, some horrible accident, called the sheriff's department, said, hey, I'm out here at Shelby Farms Park and somebody's died and there's a kayak still here, or something to that effect.
That's a huge assumption.
Yes, it is.
Slight leap.
It's a huge assumption. Well, the sheriff's department has to go out and check on it. Then they called Shelby Farms Park, which in turn called me and said, hey, there's a problem. Could you go ahead and get that geocache removed off the map?
The only thing I can think was maybe it was tumped over in the water.
Possibly.
And then you could see how they would maybe make that leap, right? Like if it's just sitting on the bank, who jumps to somebody's dead? But if it was for some reason dumped over
I would
in
just
the water,
assume somebody went to the tree line and had to take a whiz.
Right. But
Owen got to use that kayak. He used the kayak, which is good. And that was the point that the CO was trying to get to but then they confiscated it, and unfortunately we had to.
Did the police question you as a suspect, Owen?
Yeah,
because
really.
If you were in the kayak and somebody's dead because the kayak was left, obviously you're a suspect.
I think it makes him a prime suspect. Yeah, because he colluded with the CO to get permission. So I think
he's not allowed back in Memphis next year. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to come back. So he says no. Anyway, we digress. So
you think it was tumped over. Now that I'm thinking about it, how would you make the logical leap from kayak on the bank to dead person in the water?
Right.
I want to have some faith left in humanity that at least it was like turned over.
Because who would leave $100, $200 kayak sitting on the shore?
Who would do that?
There's only 800 in the park there, but that one must have been the dead body, though. For sure,
that had to be the dead body one, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now that I know it's that funny, I'm about to get a new kayak. I'm gonna definitely paint blood in it, without a doubt. Every time I park it somewhere, just to see if I can
get one of those arms that you can have dangling out of a trunk.
Right.
That's right.
Put it on this. Right. Okay. You guys, I tell you. All right. I want to wrap up a little bit of this because I want to talk about your trip to Seattle. But you finished up Washington, which is really cool. You did. And I've got a couple of questions because I just got back this weekend. I did some counties in Oklahoma, and it reminded me of I know, but it was great fun. And I'll show one picture because it's just as crazy. I won't show all of them, but
you do never know. You just don't know what you're going to find when you're driving into random counties for a geocache.
No,
I mean, how often do you go to a cache like that? I mean, look how big that transformer is.
And if I had been at that cache, I would probably have better things to say about Oklahoma.
Yeah, I understand. But what a cool cache.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently there's two of them. There's two of those. They're not both Optimus Prime. One of them that's Optimus Prime, but the other one. But my question, and then I found Rock City, which is the cars. I mean, that's the beauty, I think, for me, that's the beauty of counties, is to find random things, things you find while you're caching. Does anything stick out for you that come to mind? Because you've done, is it 7 states now? 7, right?
Yes, 7 states.
And
I've completely done 7 states.
And the thing about it too is they're big states. We live in Marcellus and I live in Texas, and you've done like Louisiana, which in Arkansas, that's some effort to do those.
I have done Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Kansas, Texas, of course.
Yeah,
and just finished Washington.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've done 0 states. 0. I've never finished a state.
How many do you have left in Colorado? 1?
Couple. 1 or maybe 2 or 3 left in Colorado, and 2 left in Utah. And it is what it is. And I've got over 400 counties, but no finished states. So,
that's okay. The person I traveled with to Washington, he finished the Texas County Challenge, but he had never finished another state. So Washington was his state number 2.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll finish them one day. I have no doubt I'll finish them one day. And I'll probably finish every single one with an event, and I'll have fun doing it. But
right.
It's not eating me. Like, I know some people be like, you have 1 left in a state and you haven't gone to finish it. I'm like, yeah. And I know it drives them crazy.
For those that have never done, I know you have, Jesse, and you enjoy it, but I think, Marcellus, I'll let you comment on this, but I find county caching very addicting for me. And I've had a couple counties, even this trip, where I wouldn't say panic, but I had to go try to find alternate caches because it's like, oh my gosh, I want to move on to the next county, but I can't get out. I need to find a cache in this county, and so I got to start. And I had a random. I know you've probably had this happen, but I had a random Oklahoma county in the middle of. I had done all the counties. I don't know how I missed it, but I missed one in the middle, so I had to go all the way to that county on this last trip, and then started it. But for those that have never done it, what are some things about county caching that really is addicting for you?
There is nothing like being out on the open road.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know how many of you guys like to drive.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when I started this, driving was like okay, but you know, the idea of like driving like more than like 4 hours at a clip is like, yeah, no, I didn't want to do that. And then you get out there and it's just you and the open road and your thoughts. And of course, once you get to the county, obviously you want that cache and you want to do the things that you need to do while you're there.
Yeah.
And then going back to that sort of almost meditation.
Yes. I completely agree. Yeah.
It's like you and all these new places.
Yeah.
And it's weird because a lot of places, especially like little towns and little county, a lot of them are really the same, but there is a total difference. No joke. There is a total difference between a small county in Texas and a small county in Oklahoma,
and
a small parish in Louisiana, and a small county in Kansas, or a small county in Iowa. It's like they're all the same in different ways.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah.
And it's weird that way.
What are some things that you like, you know, and just finding our way said windshield time. There's a lot of windshield time.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy it. Now, a lot of people probably would hate it and they'd want to do something else, which is fine. But if you don't know whether you hate it or love it yet, I suggest doing it because you might really fall in love with it. I love it. Like you said, Marcellus, and you love it.
And if nothing else, just do the counties around where you live.
Oh yeah.
If you do like, say, I mean, you might go get caches in the surrounding counties already.
Right.
So try something a little bit different. One morning, drive out like, say, 3 counties away.
Yeah.
And grab one in that county. And then maybe grab in the counties on the way home and see how you feel. Because I remember a time when I was still pretty new to this where I could literally do that. I would go get up like early in the morning, drive like 3 or 4 counties away, and then just do like a morning thing and then be home for lunch.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Stephanie mentions this is sort of she's got Montana, Washington, which makes sense because they're semi close together.
Yeah.
And then she's got Delaware, Rhode Island. It's like, not sure how she did it, but I mean, there's probably a story behind. She probably maybe lived in one area or visited one or something.
Yeah. Rhode Island's got 4, and I think Delaware has 3. So she probably just did it in like a day.
If you're used to like a place with giant counties, then the Eastern Seaboard is, I mean, seriously, I'm convinced that I could literally do like the entire Northeast in 4 weekends.
Right. I think
because everything is close together.
Oh yeah.
Much just smaller bouncing counties. Like back and forth, doing a bazillion of them.
Yeah.
I could, I mean, and when I say I could do it in like 4 weekends, that's like flying up, doing a weekend, flying home.
Yeah.
Right. I could have like
a trip out east and knocked them out.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the trip, What are some things that you like when you're doing your windshield time? Do you listen to anything? Do you just want to be alone with your thoughts, or do you do a combination of all 3 of those? Or
a combination. I mean, I listen to a lot of music.
Podcast, probably right.
I was gonna say, it is not uncommon for me to like, pick someone who I like, and I'll decide, you know what, this is who I'm going to listen to this trip, and go through their entire discography. Like,
yes,
multiple times.
I've done that.
I'm a huge Leonard Cohen fan. He's got like 15 albums, and they're not like short albums either.
Right.
And
right.
I'll just like take like a 3-day weekend, and I'll literally like go through his entire discography twice.
Wow.
Right. We have a potential pair of guests for Podcast to Hope that do a podcast, and it's a little different. It's musical. They're producers, musical engineering, mixing. They've done some big, they've worked on anything from Independence all the way up to like Emmylou Harris. I mean, we and everything in between. And and they've done other things as well. But I listened to their podcast, and it's funny because we talk about how we've made ours down to try to do about an hour. Their podcasts are like 3 hours long, but I love it. They're just so fascinating for me. I find them to listen to these guys talk about, and again, they're fairly obscure bands, but I know them because my kids and I listen to them. The whole family listen to some of these bands, and hearing them talk about them, I really hope I can get them on Podcast to Hope, because they are fascinating individuals, and they have worked on some everything from small, like I said, independent type bands that they were involved with, up to, Nirvana kind of work that they've done. So again, though, I find it, in that case, I was binge listening to, because I just found, we just found out about them as potential booking for Podcast of Hope. But I'm like you said, Marcellus, I'll put on, I'm a big classic rock fan, so I'll stick on Van Halen. I'll listen to everything they've ever done, which isn't a lot, or I'll put on Kansas. I'm a big Kansas fan, so I listen to every Kansas song that's out there.
Yeah.
And
I'm big into indie, so
right.
I'll it's like, okay, everything the Arcade Fire's ever done. Okay,
right.
Done with that. Everything the Decemberists have ever done. Okay, and then whatever. It's like Amy Mann, Michael Penn, Tanita Tikaram.
Right.
They Might Be Giants. They've got like 21 albums now. So they're like, an entire except them, I can only go through their discography once at a time because I love them.
A little much,
but
right?
Even that's like a little too much of them for me, even though I love them immensely.
Yeah, you'd like this. I'll send you a link to this podcast, because it is fascinating. It's a mix of grunge, psychedelic rock they've worked on, and they've done some other things too. But anyway, is there?
Go ahead. The point of that was that you prepare for a trip, you get music. Yeah. When you're doing some windshield time like that, you do prepare ahead of time, and you kind of know what's going to be your
You can't not. I mean,
right.
I spend a lot of time preparing for each trip. Right. I mean, I spend a lot of time, just pathing each trip out. Yeah. How do I want to do this? Is there somewhere where I can, if I go to this county, but I don't go to that, but I go to this county before that county, or that county before this county, which is going to be shorter and easier. Right. How far do I want to go? Do I want to add these things? Okay, doing this thing, this is aspirational. I will keep it if I have the time, but maybe I don't, and I'll cut it if I don't, because I took a trip that ended up taking me up to South Dakota. Mm-hmm. And I realized, man, I'm only an hour away from Minnesota. And I almost did it, but I realized I didn't do it, because I realized, I'm going to go through 2 counties on the way to the first Minnesota county. And then I'm going to come back, and I want to hit these other 2. So that 1 hour really meant 6 hours.
Yeah, right.
Yes, that's just one more. We all have that just one more story. Like, you know what? I really need to turn back, but there's one right over the hill. I really need to turn back. Exactly. I know, but
with counties, it's a lot though. Do you use Project GC for the counties? Or do you
I use Project GC to help me build lists for the counties.
Okay.
Because obviously, and I cannot stress this enough, if you ever go county caching, make sure you have offline lists of everything.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh yes.
Very true.
Early on, I was doing that during the Texas County Challenge, and I ended up in Menard, and I had no
signal
whatsoever.
There's no signal in the
I ended up
entire
going
county.
to the town library to be able to make a list, to be able to like, find something to find.
Dang. So, yes. I have been.
I don't do anywhere near the amount of counties that you do. And my wife actually likes county caching more than me. So we've gone out on some county trips, and some of my friends do. But as cheesy as it sounds, there's little things that make it more fun too. Like we printed off the areas where we knew we were going to be in counties, and every time we went to that county on paper, we would color it in. It was a cool little reminder of like, oh, we got this county now. Now we only did like a dozen or so that weekend or whatever, but it was neat to have like the physical thing, not just on the phone. To like we colored in a little county on the map, and it was just fun little things you can do to add to the trip.
I have a map in my bedroom that I found at, I think, like a Joanne or something like that. It was a wood map of the United States, and it has a wood border around every state. And they were selling it super cheap, and I went ahead and bought it and a couple of things of paint. And every time I go to a new state, I color that state in tan. And every time I finish a state, I color it in brown.
Nice.
And I have this map of all the states that I've been to, and I know which ones I've done all the counties in.
That's really cool.
It's fun to have those things. It really is.
Yeah.
Now, I use Cache Tour. Do you not use Cache Tour at all?
I don't. Okay. And the reason I don't is because I know that it's really good for being able to like path from this cache to this cache to this cache.
Yeah.
I don't usually pick my caches before I get to a county.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Usually what I do is I get to the county. I'm going to the county courthouse anyway.
Right.
And I'll take a minute there after I've done my photography and whatnot. And then I will decide, okay, how do I feel? Do I want to like just like get going as quickly as possible? Okay, maybe I'll grab this one a block away.
Right.
But this one on the other side of town has like a bazillion favorites. And the other side of town is only like a mile and a half away.
This is my Oklahoma cache tour from this past week. Which
you like that cache tour.
I love cache tour. There we go. So it tells you like when you depart, when you arrive, and then you kind of go through. And the reason for those that are interested in it, the reason I like it is because it keeps track of, like in my case, I didn't do the last section because it just got too late. But I put at the top, I put whatever, if I was at a hotel or home, and then I put the hotel if I'm going to be going to a hotel, which typically I will be. And hotels. As you start your tour, what's that?
Hotel. Come on now, you got wheels.
Hotels. Yeah, you don't need stinking hotels, right, you guys?
Come on.
But the nice thing about it though is it keeps track of how much time the rest of the tour is going to take you. So you can get an idea of like, if I were to keep going on mine, it's going to be like, okay, now your end time is going to be 6 o'clock. Is that okay? Okay, we're still good. And as I keep going, then like, okay, now your stop time is like 8 o'clock. Are you still? I think I'm going to be done. But so that's what I do now.
I go a lot simpler than that. I just, obviously I path where I'm going to go, and then I put in half an hour in each county, which basically gives me 15 minutes to like go to the courthouse and photograph or whatnot, and then 15 minutes to go find a cache.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm off. And sometimes a county takes a little longer than that for one reason or another. Usually it doesn't take quite that much time. I think the fastest I've ever been through a county is like 6 minutes.
Okay.
Because I went to the courthouse, I did my photography. There was a cache like pretty much right there. I grabbed it. I left.
You're done. Yeah.
Now, I know we could continue for hours, but do you care what type of cache it is? Like traditional, non-traditional, puzzle. Does it matter to you what kind it is, other than maybe a virtual Earth cache that you could end up missing out on, right? But
it only really matters because I figure if I'm going to go to every county, I might as well do whatever is required for the county challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And different counties have different things that they want.
That's true.
Like Texas, they don't care.
Right.
I think Kansas and Oklahoma, no, not Kansas. Oklahoma, I believe they all had to be physical.
Right.
Mm.
So, no earth caches, no virtuals, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. When I was up in Washington and Oregon,
right,
they insist not only are they physical, but they have to be small or larger.
Oh, you can't do micros.
No micros.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
I think
that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
And Idaho, I don't think cares, but I believe it actually says you have to either find a cache or place a cache in each county. And
I mentioned Georgia, all physical as well.
And
thank you, sir.
Idaho says that it doesn't matter what you find, but if you place one, it's got to be at least a small. So sometimes they have weird little rules like that. And so weird. That's usually the one thing, because if I'm going to go to like this crazy place to do this stuff, I might as well do whatever's required for the county challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many facets of even within county challenges, within even county caching. There's tons of different ways to play the game, even there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just Finding Our Way says Wyoming and Utah are physical, but he didn't know that out in Utah until after. Yeah. That's a good part of advice there, Marcellus, is know ahead of time before you start willy-nilly doing a county or doing a state, what they might require.
Yeah. Planning beforehand is essential, because, when you're just going like, 2 or 3 counties away from home, hey, no big deal. If I mess something up, I can go back to that county. No big deal. Heck, I could play hooky from work one day and just go and do that. If you've got to go like 10 hours to get to your starting point.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to know what you're doing.
Yes,
that's a little different.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a long way. And then Owen mentions that if you're into mystery challenges, you want to think ahead, because there's about finding a mystery in 100 counties or something. So there's, that's something to research. Definitely. Something that, you might be interested in. And I think that's the beauty of county caching, because there are some variations that even if you get into and you get addicted, like at least Marcellus and I are with counties, there may be some kind of tweak that you're like, ooh, find a cache. I think Texas has a cemetery, right? There's a cemetery challenge where you have to find a cache in every county in a cemetery, I think.
There might be. I haven't seen that one. But I know there are a lot of 100 cemeteries.
True, there's that
300, too. 500, whatever. And there's no way you can do that in one town, in one city.
Or if you don't plan. If you don't plan ahead, at least, too.
Don't plan. Yeah, totally. The other great thing about counties, and this is one of the things I love.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to find or where when you go somewhere.
That's true. Very true.
You want to know the county? I'll tell you something. Oh my God. I believe it's Beloit. I think it's Mitchell County, Kansas.
Okay.
Outside of Beloit, Kansas, is a town called Cocker City. A few of you may know what this is.
I've heard of Cocker City, I think.
That is the location of the world's largest ball of twine.
Oh my gosh, yes. The ball of twine.
And there is a virtual there.
There should be.
Yes.
Yes. There is a virtual there. And you know something? I was amazed at how just giddy I started getting as I got closer and closer to that, because that's like the most, you've heard about this all your life. Everybody jokes about go for a trip and go see the world's biggest ball of twine. And all of a sudden I found myself on the way to the world's biggest ball of twine. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to see the world's biggest ball of twine.
I'm excited about this.
It's like, oh my God.
There it is.
This is the world's biggest ball of twine. And I was calling people.
Right.
And sending them photos. And a couple people I even FaceTimed. It's like, guess where I am? I'm at the world's largest ball of twine. And if you've never been to the world's largest ball of twine, there is a shop nearby that sells pieces of twine so that you can actually add them to make the world's largest ball of twine bigger.
Funny.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That is peak tourism.
That is so awesome. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
The more you travel, the more chance you have of finding crazy things like that.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, and I didn't plan, I planned for some of them. I found the random, and that's the fun of counties. I really believe. And again, I found, I should have been planning better, but I found the cars, the Rock Cafe. I just happened to randomly drove by it, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's the Rock Cafe from the movie Cars. So I had to double back and take the photos on Route 66 of the Rock Cafe. And I was like, that's so awesome. And of course, like I said, Optimus Prime. And then the last one I'll show is this one, which is just this random NASA space capsule on the side of the road. Just sitting there. Why not? I mean, it is so random. And it was just, there's nothing around it. There's no attraction about it, as far as but there it is. It's just sitting out in the middle of the road. There's a cache there. So, I mean, how obscure that is, but anyway. So before we get to final thoughts, I do want to get your final thought now that you're back on going to the 20th anniversary, that trip you just took. So do that, and then we're going to wrap up with some final thoughts. But how was the trip? What really stood out to you about going up to Seattle?
Well, first of all, it was resplendent.
Very cool.
Actually, I'm going to take one step back further, because don't forget Geo Woodstock was the weekend before.
Geo Woodstock up in Canada. Yep.
That was absolutely lovely.
Oh, cool.
In fact, odd thing, and this is a side note and just a me thing, but I've never seen so many black cachers in the wild as I saw in freaking Geo Woodstock.
That's awesome. Diversity.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Then, came back. They let me back into the country. They almost didn't, because I had a bag of carne seca, which is basically dried meat. It's basically like a super thin Mexican beef jerky.
Oh, okay.
And, I had a bag of it in the back seat, and the Border Patrol dude is like, oh, what the heck is that? It's just meat. I promise.
Trust.
It's just meat here.
You probably can't bring fruit back. I know.
Would you like some?
Yeah.
So they let me back in. Did a lot of driving. Okay, I will add something. Here's a thought for you. When you're county caching, ferries are end bosses.
Okay.
In Louisiana, you got ferries that go across a river or whatever, and they're pretty quick.
Right.
There are there's at least one county in Washington you can't get to anyway, but by ferry. It's an hour-long ferry ride there and an hour-long ferry ride back.
And you gotta plan accordingly, because they probably don't run 24/7.
Now, here's where this gets complicated.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I was traveling with someone, and he has a friend who lives in Port Townsend, which is basically across Puget Sound from this other town called Coopville. And, since he had I was traveling with a cacher named Buck and I. And since he had done all the ones in the sort of the Northwest, I took him to the ferry in Coopville. He went across to Port Townsend, hung out with his buddy for a day while I did all these counties that he'd already done.
Oh, wow.
I go to Friday Harbor, which is the one that takes an hour frickin' ride to get to. I come back. That's another hour on the ferry. I go back to Coopville to cross over to Port Townsend. One of the ferries died.
Oh, my.
Which means they only have one ferry running.
Oh, no.
So they're like, well, we don't even know if the people with reserved spots are going to be able to get over before we stop running tonight.
Dang.
Yeah. And so, and there's another one like further down the coast, which goes into Seattle, but it's backed up because people can't get across to Coopville. So I ended up having to drive around Puget Sound.
Oh, my.
That's like a 300-mile drive.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
No.
Now,
that can happen.
County caching, that would have been impossible. And I would have just said, forget it. I'm spending the night in Coopville. But now that I'll like drive 10 hours to get to a starting point to start doing it.
Exactly.
Like, 300 miles. Okay. I'll see you guys in a few hours.
So, Jake, Buckeye, he's one of our listeners, is actually currently listening to the show. Okay. Guess where he's at? And he said that he is in Menard.
Oh, geez.
At 9:06 p.m. Menard Bank.
I'm sorry. Why are you in Menard?
He's in Menard, and he said that their signal must be better in Menard because he says that he hasn't lost the signal yet to the show. He's listening to us live, and we just talked about Menard, and he's literally there driving through.
I have not been to Menard in like 3.5 years.
Yeah,
I guess they've improved for that.
Yeah, there is, but I guess it's improved a little bit. But all right, awesome stuff. Let's give some final thoughts and wrap up tonight. And I'll go, and then we'll let Jesse, and then I'll let our guest complete the night. But again, my comment would be, if you've never county cached, try it. At least try it before you say I'm not interested. Because I tell you, to be honest, it really is. It's addicting. It is so much fun. You find the most random things, like I showed tonight. You find the transformer that I did not know about. Of course, now I search for favorite points, and that really kind of helped me. You find the random space capsule on the side of the road. So there's things. There's a lot of good memories county caching. So, all right, Jesse, I'll let you talk about it.
So I would say, because we can talk about the preparation for it and how you do it and why you do it all the time, but I'll take the other angle because I know where Marcellus is going to go with this, as he should, being on this show. But I think county caching to me is the reason why you should try it if you haven't is because it's just like FTFs or Jasmer or any of the other side games like we mentioned earlier. You never know what's going to be your thing in geocaching until you try it. So it's just as likely to be county caching as it is any of the other things that are out there. But if you don't ever try it, you may get a whole new fire for the game. And especially if you've been in the game for many years, try new things. You may like it more now than you used to. And, at one time you may not want windshield time. 5 years down the road, that may be the favorite thing you've got to do out there. So keep trying the different little aspects until you find what your current, obsession is.
Before I let you go, Marcellus, to do your final thoughts, I do want to comment because I know Jim mentioned that I should have commented on this earlier. He's asking about Gadget Talk. We have settled on a new schedule that we'll be discussing very soon. Just to give you all an update, Puzzle Talk is going to be moving back to Tuesdays. Gadget Talk is going to be moving to Saturday. Is moving to Sunday. So the Sunday 8 p.m. rotation is going to go, instead of adding Puzzle Talk into the mix on Sundays, we're moving Puzzle Talk to Tuesday. since Derek can't do podcast during the week, then we're moving. They're basically taking the spot that Puzzle Talk was doing, although they're going to be doing 2 shows, but not back to back, because they didn't want to do back to back, because I know they do builds sometimes. Mm-hmm. So the schedule is going to be Challenge Talk, the same, the first one. Then it's going to go to Gadget Talk. Third week will be Geocache Talk with our usual plain old Sunday shows, we call it. And then the fourth week will be back to Gadget Talk, either a part 2, if they do that for that month, or it'll just be another show. Tom wanted to give a quick update. And the fact is, we're not sure when this whole schedule is going to be completed or in process. It's still in process, but they haven't decided which Tuesday they're going to start with and the frequency. But that is what we feel like is going to be best for listeners. Obviously, all of it goes on for audio. So if you're an audio listener, I guess it doesn't really matter for all of y'all. But anyway, more to come on that over time. But again, Marcellus, thank you so much tonight for being with us. Love our discussions. Absolutely, my friend. But tell us, give us your final thoughts on tonight.
If you've never thought about county caching, do it for one reason and one reason only. It's because there is a giant world out there to see.
Absolutely.
I started out just because I thought it would be cool to see every county courthouse in Texas.
Yeah.
And I have kept going.
Yes, you have.
And I have seen so many things.
Wow.
Independence, Missouri, where the actual location of the little house on the prairie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, I've been to Vegas before, but all the virtuals along the strip are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself at the Chalmette Battlefield where Andrew Jackson fought the Battle of New Orleans.
Right.
And
that's cool.
I will, or one time I was in Galena, Missouri, this little county. Nobody would ever have a reason to go there. But I find a cache that's in the back of a motorcycle shop, and it's this cast iron sword cache in this concrete. And you have to turn it and work it to get it out, to get to it.
Wow.
And it's just a little, it's just behind a motorcycle shop.
Right.
You never have any reason to think about it. When I went to the Grand Canyon, literally, I just stood there and thought to myself, man, that is a really big hole in the ground.
It is. But awesome, though.
Exactly. There is this giant world out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you should get out and see it. And it isn't just going to be in the big tourist attractions. Sometimes you're going to find the most interesting things in the smallest, most obscure of places, and you never know.
Yeah.
And if you don't county cache for any other reason, do it for that.
That's perfect.
Well said.
Well, thank you, my friend. We're going to say goodnight and look forward to seeing you soon. And
hopefully you'll see me. I'll see you at GeoCoin Fest.
Coin Fest. That's right. All right. Good night, everybody.
Night, you there, guys or girls. I don't mean specific.
May your finds be many and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.